Act 1. Crossing the line. Imagine you are falling. There is no wind, no sound, and no sensation of weight. Below you is a circle of absolute nothingness, a hole in the sky so black that it makes the rest of space look bright. This is it. You are approaching the event horizon of a black hole. But not just any black hole. This is a supermassive black hole, a monster millions of times the mass of our sun. This matters. If this were a smaller stellar mass black hole, you would be dead already. You would be stretched into a stream of atoms by tidal forces in a process physicists call spaghettification. But here, the giant is gentle. As long as the black hole is quiet and not currently feeding, the tidal forces at the edge are weak enough that you survive the crossing in one piece, at least in the classical view of Einstein. From your perspective, this is a bit of a letdown. You check your watch. The seconds tick by normally. You look back at the universe you're leaving behind, and it's distorted, like a funhouse mirror wrapped around a bowling ball. Then, you cross the line. There's no bump and no "you are now leaving the universe" sign. You have just committed the final act of trespassing. You haven't left the causal universe, and physics still works perfectly, but you have entered a region that can never again communicate with the world you left behind. But while your journey feels smooth, the rest of the universe is watching a horror story. Back at Mission Control, your friends are watching you through a telescope. As you get closer to that dark circle, they see you start to slow down. It is like you are watching a video where the loading bar has frozen. Your existence to them begins to buffer. The last frame of you at the horizon takes a year to load, then a century, then a millennium. Your light, the signal coming off your body, shifts into red, then infrared, until it becomes a bass note so deep the universe can no longer hear it. To them, you never actually cross. You just fade. To the universe, you aren't deleted, because that would break the laws of quantum physics. According to the principle of black hole complementarity, you might leave a cosmic shadow. Your information is scrambled and encoded onto the surface of the horizon like a 2D holographic ripple, while the real you continues into the dark. Two versions of one story, both true yet forever separated. By the way, if you have some hype points to spare for this video, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me a lot to keep making videos like this. Act 2. How a star collapses. To understand the black hole, we have to understand the war that created it. Every star is a massive tug of war between gravity, which wants to crush it, and nuclear fusion, which pushes outward. For most of its life, the star is winning. But for the heavyweights, the engine eventually runs out of light fuel. It burns through neon, oxygen, and silicon, with each stage burning hotter and faster. A star might spend 10 million years burning hydrogen, but it will burn through its final supply of silicon in a single day. At the very center, the engine hits a thermodynamic wall. It completes its final viable cycle, fusing silicon into iron group elements like nickel-56. But the heat is now so intense that the star's own gamma rays begin to eat the core, tearing the iron nuclei apart in a process called photodisintegration. The pressure support doesn't just go bankrupt, it is shredded by its own light. Without the outward push of fusion, gravity wins in an instant. The core, an object the size of the Earth, implodes at 25% the speed of light. It shrinks from Earth-sized to city-sized in a fraction of a millisecond, reaching the crushing density of an atomic nucleus before falling through every remaining barrier of known physics. The fabric of space-time itself is punctured. A black hole is born. Act 3. Inside the event horizon. So, how does this thing actually work? Think of space not as an empty room, but as a waterfall of space-time moving toward a drain. In general relativity, the geometry of the universe is tilted. At the event horizon, the metric of space-time is so steeply curved that every possible path and every possible future points inward. Since most black holes spin, you aren't just falling. You are caught in a massive whirlpool of space itself. To stay still or move away, you would need to move faster than light, which is strictly forbidden. Inside, directions don't mean anything anymore. Singularity, the point where our current math breaks down and begs for a new theory of quantum gravity, is no longer a where, but a when. Reaching the center becomes as inevitable as the arrival of tomorrow. But this journey leads to the ultimate crisis in physics, the information paradox. The cosmic shadow we mentioned earlier was once the best guess, but recent theories suggest a darker alternative. To preserve the laws of information, the event horizon might actually be a firewall. This is a burning wall of high-energy particles that would vaporize you instantly the moment you touch the edge. The universe cannot have it both ways. Our two greatest theories are at a total impasse, and the answer remains locked behind a door we cannot open. If you've made it this deep into the void, thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the ride, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It really helps the channel. Act 4, the black hole era. So, we have these traps, but they aren't truly immortal. Through a process called Hawking radiation, the black hole's gravity creates a temperature at the horizon, causing it to glow with a faint heat. This glow isn't free. It is paid for by the black hole's own mass, causing the monster to slowly evaporate into the void. Right now, black holes are growing by absorbing the leftover heat from the Big Bang. But the universe is cooling. In about 100 trillion years, the last stars will run out of fuel. The red dwarfs will transition into bluer, hotter, blue dwarfs, before finally cooling into white dwarfs. This marks the end of the stelliferous era. Now, we are in the black hole era. Galaxies will dissolve. Eventually, the only macroscopic objects left will be black holes. But for a smart civilization, this is an opportunity. We can use the Penrose process, which is a cosmic slingshot with a toll. By carefully dropping matter into the spinning ergosphere and letting the black hole tear it apart, we can steal the black hole's rotational momentum, turning the monster's spin into the ultimate power source for eons. Act 5, the end of everything. But even the flywheels eventually stop. Hawking radiation is a compounding process. The smaller a black hole gets, the hotter it gets. The biggest giants will take up to 10 to the power of 100 years to finally flicker out. That is a Google years. If the entire 14 billion year history of our universe was a single grain of sand, a Google years would be a beach so vast it would fill every cubic inch of the observable universe multiple times over. But eventually, the beach ends. In its final moments, the black hole evaporates down to a microscopic mass. In its final second of life, this tiny remnant finally dies, vanishing in a sharp final burst of high-energy gamma rays. These will be the last real events in the history of our cosmos. As the black holes vanish, the universe enters its final, longest winter. On timescales so vast they make the age of stars look like a heartbeat, the universe may harden into a graveyard of frozen iron stars, unless the proton itself decays first. If it does, the universe becomes a fading ghost of electrons, positrons, and photons, particles so stretched by expansion that they can never interact again. At this point, the arrow of time loses its direction. Imagine a giant battery that has finally gone flat. The energy is still there, but there is no longer any voltage to drive a change. While the clock technically ticks, the passage of time becomes physically meaningless. We live in the golden hour. It is a brief, lucky break. We are the universe's way of looking at itself, before the black holes vanish into the dark, taking the very concept of forever with them. So, here is a question for you. If you could safely witness just one moment in the entire history of the universe, the Big Bang, the death of the last star, or the final evaporation of a black hole, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.